Good afternoon. Pleasure to be with everyone. We're going to start a little early because we're still on New York time, you see, so we're ahead of schedule. Let me begin, if I can, by just introducing the people who are around the table, and maybe you tell us a little background about yourself so people understand the relevance here. Gil, why don't we start with you, because you probably have the most relevance. I haven't seen Gil in New York in the past few months since the hurricane, I want you to know.
Thank you, Governor. My name is Gil Quinones. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of the New York Power Authority, and we've been here since September, post-Maria, working closely with PREPA and others.
My name is Lou Coletti. I am president of the Building Trades Employers Association of New York City, an organization representing all union contractors, and we're here to support the governor's efforts in rebuilding. We've got some of our contractors here who have expertise in almost every other kind, whether it be 9/11, Sandy, and we're looking forward to participating in the governor's initiative to rebuild Puerto Rico.
Hello, I'm Carlina Rivera. I'm a Puerto Rican councilwoman representing the Lower East Side, Loisaida, a very Puerto Rican neighborhood, and very, very honored to be here to represent the city, my community, and of course my family.
Hello, buenas tardes. Me llamo Rubén Díaz Jr. I'm Ruben Díaz Jr. And I am the president of the most northern city or town of Puerto Rico, the Boogie Down Bronx, el Condado de la Salsa.
So good afternoon. My name is Santos Rodriguez. I am the Director of Community Affairs for the New York City Building Trades on behalf of Gary LaBarbera. We are down here, we've been down here with tradesmen and women along with Heart 9/11 since like day 3 of hurricane. And we're 100% all in with the governor and helping the people of Puerto Rico.
Hi, I'm Carol Stern. I'm the president and CEO of Unicef USA. And when we say every child, we mean every child, Puerto Rico included.
Hi all, good afternoon. Buenas tardes a todos. Yo soy Emil Medina, presidente de la Fundación Buena Vibra. I am Emil Medina, chair of board directors of Buena Vibra Foundation. Our foundation has been working directly with Tuabaja in their reconstruction. Thanks for Betito for being here also. Our foundation is focused in 3 main aspects, relief, recovery, and reconstruction. So we're going to have fun today, right?
I'm Robert Mujica. I'm the governor's budget director for the state of New York.
Secretary to Governor Cuomo. Rosana Rosado, Secretary of State in New York. También soy del condado del Bronx, pero si hay alguien aquí de Caguas, que me disculpen con mi familia por este viaje relámpago.
Buena idea, no le digan a mami que estoy aquí. My name is Assemblyman Marcos Crespo. I was born in Guayama, Puerto Rico, raised in Arroyo, Puerto Rico, residing in God's country, the Bronx. But I'm here also in representation of the Puerto Rican Hispanic Task Force members in the New York State Legislature, many of whom have been involved in a lot of the efforts out of New York. But all of us are committed, in large part because of the leadership that continues to come from the state of New York to participate and partner with Puerto Rico to do as much as we can. And that's all been made possible by one executive who understands the role, and that is Governor Andrew Cuomo. I could only wish somebody in Washington, D.C. followed in his footsteps.
It's already good afternoon, actually. So, hi, I'm Fernando Gil Enseñat. I'm like the Puerto Rico Housing Secretary, also like representing the governor today here. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it on time on the flight, but he should send me from Maya West actually 2 hours ago, so we make like a really fast trip here. Nonetheless, pretty excited to be here around all of you guys, and hope like this come to fruition and make like a huge steps into our recovery. And thank you, Governor, for all the things that you have done for Puerto Rico. From the bottom of my heart, I mean, like, it's something that it doesn't matter which party or whatever right now, your heart is here, and we're really thankful for it.
Muy buenas tardes. My name is Avidan Rodriguez. I am the president of the University at Albany of the State University of New York, and I also have the privilege to serve as a co-chair of the SUNY Puerto Rico task force, which is focusing on the impacts of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and we have already established long-term partnerships with a variety of universities. So I'm also here representing SUNY on behalf of our chancellor, Dr. Christina Johnson. Gracias.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Edwin Meléndez, soy el director del Centro de Estudios Puertorriqueños. Salí para los Estados Unidos por un par de años y aquí estoy 40 años después, tratando de organizar la diáspora y hacer lo que podamos por nuestros hermanos y familia aquí en Puerto Rico. Gracias a todos.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mr. Secretary. Also, we have with us in the front row, I'd ask him to stand, Mr. Tonio Burgos. Tonio is my brother, basically. He worked with my father. He's from Puerto Rico, and I did a lot of work with my father in Puerto Rico for many, many years, and then has always been very helpful to me. And he's doing a great job helping us, not just on the New York side, but also on the Washington side and the federal side to get the kind of support that we need. First, I bring you greetings from all New Yorkers. I can't tell you how aware they are of the situation in Puerto Rico and how concerned and how empathetic they are. Certainly members of the Puerto Rican community, but when you are a New Yorker, and I'm born and bred in New York, you grow up with the Puerto Rican community. It's such a vital part of New York that the feelings, the association is so powerful. The Puerto Rican community is a part of the New York family. And that's the feeling that is all throughout New York. You saw it in the outpouring of support after the hurricane. Everyone was riveted to the television. Everyone was watching what was going on. And that feeling has not subsided. That concern, that desire to help, frankly, the frustration at the injustice that has been done to Puerto Rico is real and palpable in New York, and you should know that. We also understand the complexity of your situation now. If anything, it has gotten more complicated since the hurricane. It hasn't gotten easier. The federal tax bill that was passed in the United States took away some of the tax benefits that were vital to the Puerto Rican economy. The Financial Oversight Board adds another layer of bureaucracy to the management of the situation. On top of it, we're now coming into another hurricane season that, God willing, he shows us some mercy over the next few months with the onset of the new hurricane season. I think it's fair to say we don't want to have a political conversation today, but Assemblyman Marcus Crespo made a remark. And by the way, they love to say, the borough president, the boogie down Bronx. They just love to say that in any context. You know, I'm from Queens. We were boogie down before the Bronx was ever boogie down. So I don't know where. Oh, yeah, boogie down Queens, they used to call it, when I was a youngster. And the borough president wasn't even born when I was a youngster. So I know we had it first. But all of New Yorkers feel that the federal government was not as responsive as it should have been or could have been. I was the HUD secretary under President Clinton, and I did the disaster assistance for 8 years during that period of time. And I know what this country is capable of doing. And I know what it did domestically within the United States. I know what we did for other countries. I went to Haiti, I went to the Dominican Republic, I went to Ecuador to provide disaster relief and assistance. And the federal government should have and could have done a better job for Puerto Rico. And I say that without partisanship. I say that as a matter of fact, knowing the history of what the country can do. And I don't believe the country was provided an adequate response initially, and I don't think they've made it any better. So in life, you do what you can, right? And what we can do is organize New York to be helpful. And that we have done from day one. I'm proud to say myself and Assemblyman Crespo and Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez were on the first flight that landed in Puerto Rico after the hurricane. Happened to be a very bumpy flight, but we wanted to be on the ground as soon as possible, and we were. And we did everything we could do to help during that intense situation after the emergency. We had thousands of people come down from New York, National Guard people, government workers, everyone volunteered. Hospitals sent medical supplies, nurses, etc. We sent utility workers from New York and their trucks to Puerto Rico. Gil Quinones is the head of our Power Authority operation. I came down, there were more Con Edison trucks in San Juan than were in Manhattan. So I knew we were really on the ground and making a difference. And we have continued to do that and will continue to do that. Gil Quinones is working with PREPA still to not just rebuild, but to rebuild better and improve the situation, because in truth, the power supply needed to be improved anyway. So we're continuing that effort. But now we want to move to a second phase because we'll continue to do what we need to do to help Puerto Rico, especially vis-a-vis the federal government, because I still don't believe Puerto Rico has gotten their fair share from the federal government. Our entire New York congressional delegation is 100% committed and supportive of Puerto Rico and is fighting every day to make sure they get their fair share, which they have not. The damage estimate for Puerto Rico was about $94 billion. It was a very professional plan that has been put in, and Puerto Rico has only gotten a fraction of that amount approved from the federal government. So we're going to keep fighting until Puerto Rico gets its fair share, the way Florida did, the way Texas did. There's a current political feeling in the United States, especially on the federal side, that it tends to be anti-immigrant, and they group everyone together, and there's just an anti-immigrant feeling. What they forget is when you're talking about Puerto Rico, you're talking about American citizens and American brothers and sisters, and there are no second-class American citizens. And Puerto Rico deserves better from the federal government. And New York will do everything it can. Phase 2 is, while we're doing the federal advocacy, while we're doing the power work with PREPA, we also want to start a home building effort that is a bottom-up effort, right? Top-down and bottom-up. And the bottom-up effort is literally a home-by-home reconstruction effort. There are not-for-profits on the island that are doing a very good job. There are not-for-profits that have come in from other places that are doing a good job, but everyone will say it's a function of personnel and supplies. The construction piece we know how to do. You need the personnel and you need the supplies. And we can be very helpful there. And the second phase of our effort is putting together personnel, supplies, and expertise to do home reconstruction on a very large scale. And our plan is we'll get about 500 college students who go to state colleges. We call the SUNY system, State University of New York, and CUNY system, City University of New York. And they will come down, 500 students who will volunteer. They'll also be getting college credit. They're also in fields that are related to construction design, et cetera. Partnered with Santos Rodriguez and Lou Coletti represent the building industry in New York. The big builders, the trades, the carpenters, electricians, plumbers, et cetera. So we'll couple the students with the professionals in the building industry and philanthropies. Unicef, who is here today, has just done an outstanding job of rising to the occasion for whatever we need. And we've needed some wild last-minute requests, you know. We called up Unicef and said, well, we need about 50 barges to bring down the utility trucks, you know. But God bless Carol Stern. She never for a moment wavers. Let's give her a round of applause and thank her for it. So the students, plus the building expertise, plus the supplies, plus the philanthropies helping make the machine move, that's going to be our phase 2. And we want to start it in several weeks. And first, we wanted to come down on this visit and have people meet their counterparts to assess strategically exactly how the best way we can help. How do we plug in? How do we fit in? Where do we fit in? To make sure that we're doing everything we can to be helpful. With the guidance of the governor and his office and the not-for-profits that are already here doing great work. I said to Governor Rosselló the day after the hurricane, I said, this is going to be a long road, my friend. You don't rebuild overnight because there's a lot of dimensions to it. There's a physical dimension, there's an economic dimension, there's a psychological dimension. People have to get past the trauma and feel that they're stabilized. Many people have left the island. We want to get those people to come back home. And they need to know that home is restored and home is what it was. So this is part of that long road and part of that long journey. I also told the governor that the people of New York will be with you every step of the way. And we understand it's a long road, but we're not here for the short term, we're here for the long term. The Puerto Rico-New York relationship is very special. It always has been. It's special to me personally. I did a lot of work with Puerto Rico when I was HUD secretary. We made major reforms. We opened the first New York office in Puerto Rico several years ago to spur economic development connections. We worked with Puerto Rico on redesigning the Medicaid program to provide more health care. So this is not the first interaction. It's the one of many in a very special relationship. So we're going to walk that road with you as long as the road is, and we're going to be helpful any way we can be on any level. Our hearts are fully committed. I feel confident as the governor of New York, telling you on behalf of all 18 million people, we are with you. Whatever you need, however we can help, we're going to be there. It's not easy, but the people of Puerto Rico are resilient. I was here during Hurricane Georges with another Governor Rosselló, the father of this Governor Rosselló. And these father and son governor teams always make me a little anxious. I don't know what it is. So I am a bi-generational friend of Puerto Rico. But it's going to be a long road, and we are there. I know the resilience of the Puerto Rican community, and I know how much help and how special this relationship is, and we are going to honor it in spirit, and we're going to honor it in deed and in action. and we just are going to follow your lead to tell us how we can best help. And with that, let me turn it over to Secretary Hill.
Thank you, Governor Cuomo, and once again, thank you for all the things that you have done. You were like one of the first, if not the first persons, like high profiles that come here in Puerto Rico with help, not with empty hands or promises. And the help, as you mentioned, that you bring with the Power Authority too, it was immense. Not only that, the resources from your Office of Recovery that help us and lead us with great success, I will say, into the Build Back Better document, where we were able to identify our needs and the projections of the money that we will need in a fast, expeditious, and conscionable way, in the sense that it's real, and we've seen like all the disbursements on med needs analysis and everything that the federal government is doing in order to determine like which amount of money should be given to the island. Nonetheless, as you will say, it's not enough. I don't feel like we have been treated as U.S. citizens of first-class U.S. citizens, because obviously they treat us as second-class citizens, which is really unfair, because when you see the motives of like all the Army and all the armed forces, it's like leave no man behind, and that's been the great success of the United States in all the wars. Nonetheless, we felt sometimes, more times than none, that we have been left behind. Nonetheless, we have bled for the United States in all their wars. But it's this thing, the reconstruction of it, is like a war, but without a missile. It's like the same devastation, the same frustration from people. And it's really sad, you know, in terms of like, to this day, more than 7 months after the hurricane, we haven't received like the disaster case management. We request DHAP, the Disaster Housing Assistance Program, on December 14. To this day, we haven't had an answer. And it's not about like if we're capable or not of handling things. Honestly, we are. We're running the biggest STEP program in the United States history. Insofar, we have like 99,000 people that have been approved for it. Our milestone of 75,000 homes to be rebuilt is going to be achieved in the next couple, like actually in this month, it might happen. And we're like in all this struggle back and forth with FEMA just to get our reimbursement from the hurricane, you know. And we, as you said, we're entering like in a new hurricane season, and we don't even have like the money that, the small amount of money that we have in our coffers, we put it into the people, into the recovery, and into the response, and even that amount of money that is infamous compared to the amount of money that we deserve to build back better Puerto Rico, it hasn't been arrived here. Just like Tangle and all that red tape, when all the things that they have to ask is like transparent tape. And we are transparent in that. We run the processes, and we're doing things the way it should be, way beyond the scope of they deserve. So you have an idea, you know, like in things that in other hurricanes might take 14 days to 15 days, is taking in Puerto Rico 114 days, 115 days. And in that way, it will be impossible. Actually, it's almost impossible, but people like you and your staff, and acting like from your heart and putting your resources from your state to serve the people of Puerto Rico is the example that the federal government should follow in terms of like how should emergencies should be addressed. So right now we're working on the action plan for CDBG, and taking into consideration, for example, Tua Baja and Betito. It's like always nice to see you. In their second review for the $18.5 million, the unmet need analysis for the houses came up to almost $214 million of unmet need analysis in Tua Baja only. So we need to, like, Tua Baja for us is a priority. A lot of people, really dense area, like home ownership is there. We have been there with the STEP program, the Tua Renace program, We already impacted or approved 3,000 homes there, and the initial completion or the initial inspection is already done with it. So this month, in a couple of months, we should be done with Tua Baja. The thing is that we thank you, and thank you for being here 7 months after the hurricane. It's something that you have kept, like your promise, that you would not abandon us, and thank you for that. And honestly, you know you can count with us the same way that we're counting with you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. Well said. We'll go to Carol Stern now, who is the president of Unicef.
I've had the privilege during my tenure at Unicef to work in many disaster response areas and to bear witness to what it takes to really respond, you know, from Haiti to Myanmar to Jordan. And we know that it takes a partnership between the private sector, the nonprofit sector, and government to truly respond. And although UNICEF's mission is to work in the developing world, when something happens in the industrialized world, to the extent of the storm here in Puerto Rico, then it's our responsibility to stand up and be part of the solution. But on day one, when I looked around and said, what will we do and who should we do it with, we watched to see what those responding were saying and doing. And we were very proud, both because our office is in New York, to see our governor get on that plane and come down here and ask the questions and not be pejorative and not make assumptions, but say, how do we together find these solutions? And we were impressed enough then to put in a phone call to his office to say we'd like to help. And actually I was driving my car, and I think 5 minutes later the governor called back and said, okay, what do you want to do? And I was really struck by that, the immediacy of that, and very, very proud to be part of the Empire State Relief and Recovery effort for Puerto Rico in helping to deliver supplies with our other partner, UPS, as well. But this new initiative is one that really speaks to the heart of what UNICEF is about, and I think to the heart of what everyone around this table is saying. If we invest in our youth, if we have our children show us the way, if we help them to create the island that they want, the world that we all want, the vision that they have, that is what is really about rebuilding Puerto Rico. And the idea that we will be bringing students down here, that this will be part of a service learning curriculum, that they will not only use their hands, their blood, sweat, and tears, but they'll use their minds, they'll give us their ideas. This is government at its best. And UNICEF USA is so proud to be part of this. We have committed $500,000 to the initiative. We will continue to support it. And we will do so under the leadership of our governor, whom we are very proud to stand with. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Karen. Santos Rodriguez is the director for the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York. These are the skilled professionals in the construction industry, everything from handling heavy equipment to carpentry, electricians, etc. They are a great organization. They're doing a lot of good work in New York, but they're also going to be a full partner here, providing the skilled expertise along with student and volunteer personnel. So Santos, thank you very much for being here, and tell us how you think you can best help.
Thank you, Governor. On behalf of Gary LaBarbera and the Building and Construction Trades Council of New York City, I am proud to stand with Governor Cuomo and other New Yorkers here today to support our brothers and sisters in need. Together, we are committed to help the residents of Puerto Rico return to their homes and rebuild an island better than ever before. With hurricane season approaching, it is absolutely crucial that Puerto Ricans have a strong, resilient house to call home. This is a multi-phase effort, right? And it begins with identifying how we can greatest help the communities at large. Before we have boots on the ground, we need eyes on the ground. That's why this assessment that we are kicking off today is so important. We need to know where the highest needs sites are, what skills are needed on the ground, what materials are missing, which we learned that there's lots of material missing, and how else this initiative can help Puerto Rico. Some of our best professionals are joining with the state officials to serve on a tactical assessment team. Together we will work with Puerto Rican government and non-for-profit organizations to develop a roadmap rebuilding a stronger and more resilient island. This assessment will set clear targets for developing SUNY and CUNY students, volunteers, and skilled workers from the New York City building trades sometime in June. Specifically, the team is fanning out across the island, conducting site visits, meeting with small grassroots non-for-profit already working on the ground. Working with Governor Rosello's team, unions, and members of workforce development initiatives. So we are proud to be taking part in this effort and look forward to continue to work with Governor Cuomo. I want to thank you, Governor Cuomo, for spearheading this crucial initiative, crucial mission, and for everything you're doing for the people here of Puerto Rico, not excluding our families. You hear from the borough president, assembly member, council members, we too have family here, and we are dedicated fully to support Governor Cuomo and trying to help rebuild the island of Puerto Rico.
Thank you. Well said, Santos. Thank you. I may mention that Lou Coletti is also here. He represents the employer's side of the equation. Santos represents the workforce side. Lou is here for two reasons. Number one, he's going to be part of the strategic assessment team to determine what supplies, materials, et cetera. Second reason he's here is, and we invited him and insisted that he come, he's in the process of building a skyriser in Manhattan for one of his clients. And while he's here, we're having Santos's people deconstruct that high-rise that he thinks he's building to use the materials here in Puerto Rico. So we didn't want him to know what was going on. But I thought I would tell you now, Lou, because it's just too late. Now let me turn it over to Emil Medina, who is the president of the Buena Vibra Foundation.
Muchas gracias a todos por la oportunidad de estar acá compartiendo con ustedes. So, let's go down to the boogie woogie. Thank you all for being here and for all your hard work helping our communities in Puerto Rico. It feels incredible to be part of this initiative. I'm honored to be representative of the younger generation, the ones who have the responsibility to take Puerto Rico into the future. Allowing us to have a voice and an active role in this initiative is something we don't take for granted or lightly. We have the support of New Yorkers like you. We would not have made the progress we have made until now. As a chairman of the board of directors of Fundación Buena Vibra, I can tell you now that I know the difference it represents to have the support of Governor Cuomo, Unicef, and so many other groups involved in our recovery effort. To the NGOs currently working on our beloved island, my respect, admiration, and love. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Medina.
Fundación Buena Vibra is your partner, and because of your work on the ground, together we are rebuilding stronger Puerto Rico. Fundación Buena Vibra is a non-profit focused on relief, rebuilding in local communities. We believe in social innovation and one very important thing, dignity. Creemos en la dignidad del ser humano, como cualquier principio, y siendo el principio más fundamental de toda actividad que realizamos. We all need to treat others with human dignity and respect, and we do the same in every commitment and individuals we serve, no matter what, where, or whom. Our organization is focused on a three-phase response: relief, recovery, and rebuilding. We have proudly partnered with the Empire State in recovery and rebuilding effort, and we want to connect our communities with our future leaders. The additional hands and minds, this is very important. The additional hands and minds on the ground will be transformative, and we look forward to working together with the SUNY and CUNY students to make a difference for our Puerto Rican families. We are ready for them, and I want to let you know we're going to have a blast. This afternoon, we will see critical work underway in Tobaja, specifically in Ingenio and Toavil, where our foundations are conducting debris removal, painting, and roof sealing in residential neighborhoods. The students will play an essential role accelerating the work we are doing on the island and help our extended family return to and enjoy their communities faster. Quisiera concluir diciendo algo en español, y es que hay una palabra que describe la razón por la cual todos nosotros nos encontramos en este salón el día de hoy, y es la palabra compromiso. De nada vale ser un líder sin compromiso. Y quisiera aprovechar la oportunidad, ¿no?, para afirmar que el gobernador Cuomo ha sido muy dispuesto, ¿no?, desde el principio. Nosotros los puertorriqueños tuvimos la oportunidad de recibir el apoyo de la ciudad de Nueva York, como era esperado, y hoy día nos unen unos lazos que debemos de mantener, que hay de nosotros hacer el nuevo Puerto Rico. Y hoy, que comienza una segunda fase de la etapa de reconstrucción de Puerto Rico, pusimos la primera piedra para seguir estos lazos hacia un futuro más prometedor. Muchas gracias a todos por su oportunidad y es un placer compartir de mi parte con ustedes.
Thank you. Our next speaker is a member of the New York City Council. She is a young star on the rise, young, fresh take in government, and she is a superstar, and she's very concerned about Puerto Rico. We have Councilwoman Carlina Rivera.
Primero, déjame decir bendición a mis abuelos en Aguadilla. Only you, Mr. Governor, can get me a pass for not going across the island 2 hours para arroz con pollo. So we are here today sending another clear signal, another message that New Yorkers will continue to stand with Puerto Rico. Since day one, the governor has been a national advocate. He has been a leader. And today, I think you can see how reflective that work is in terms of how he has gathered his resources and brought experts in their field together to really take care of what we know are our brothers and sisters. We do not see them as anything less. The government that has treated them, the federal government that has treated them as second-class citizens is unacceptable, and we are not tolerating that as a state or as a city. So I am here because this is also very personal for me. I had not heard from my family for weeks. They have not had running water or light for months. And to know that there are people out there without a roof over their head, I am so proud to be here and to be a part of this effort. I represent Lower East Side. On the east side of Manhattan, we call it Lower East Side. Even that name shows the history and the cultural impact that Puerto Rico has on New York. My constituents come up to me and ask, what are we doing? How are people going to survive? And I am so proud to be here with my fellow colleagues in government and, of course, the organizations and the labor unions here and saying, we are going to be with you every step of the way, that the governor is putting his money where his mouth is, that he is walking the walk, and we will not leave any Puerto Rican behind. I'm so glad also that we are bringing together students. They're going to be able to be under the guidance of experts in their field, but also be able to relay this information of the humanitarian crisis that we are in right now. I am so, so proud to be here because the people, the families here that are reliving the trauma day after day, the instability, the uncertainty. We really have to come together and be united and make sure that we are taking care of every single person, regardless of their socioeconomic status, of their financial background, making sure that they know that Puerto Rico stands with them. So today, I'm always proud to be a Puerto Rican, but today I am especially proud to be a New Yorker. I want to, of course, thank the governor for bringing us all together, for spearheading this program. And we would not be here without your leadership and, of course, for your commitment to the people of Puerto Rico. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. We have Borough President of the Bronx, Ruben Diaz, who was probably the most vocal advocate in New York City, did a phenomenal job organizing donations all over the state. The outpouring was just unbelievable. And I think in many ways it was cathartic for the New York community who was watching this on TV and wanted to do something and wanted to help. And this was their way of doing it. But it always takes leadership, and Borough President Diaz provided the leadership. Borough President.
Thank you. Governor, what I would like to do is concentrate. You said earlier that when you're dealing with crisis and when you're dealing with emergencies, that it breaks up into silos and there are different dimensions. And one of them that you mentioned was psychological dimensions. And that's exactly what happened to those of us in the Bronx and New York City when we didn't hear from our family members. And with all of the things that you have to do, Governor, running the state, and all of the things that you did in showing your leadership to try to coordinate all of the different agencies and support and resources to Puerto Rico, you also were there so that you can ease the anxiety of those of us with family members over there. What do I mean by that? One of the most, if not the proudest day for me as the borough president was September 30th, where all we wanted to do was raise, collect some items to send to Puerto Rico from Southern Boulevard in the Bronx. What wound up happening that day is that we raised over 300,000 pounds of water and clothing and goods that we felt our families here needed. The problem with that is that we didn't know how to get it here. And it was the governor who, dealing with the psychological anxieties and anguish of Puerto Ricanos over there, you were able to show us that. Fast forward, last week my wife and I played host to my cousin Maria. We call her Cuchi. You know, in Puerto Rico we have nicknames. Bendición a Titi Pilar y a Titi Milagros y a Titi Cuti. See that?
That was a bad thing you said. I don't know what it was, but it was bad.
No, it wasn't. My cousin and her husband are police officers in Ponce. And they came to the Bronx last week and stayed a week because psychologically they're beat, they're exhausted, they're tired. These are cousins of mine that are normally gregarious. We have a good time when we come to Puerto Rico. They have a good time when they come to New York, but they were quiet. They just needed a break. And so they're back over here. And so it is important, Mr. Governor, and I'm proud to call you my friend. It's important because what you are and what you have done in marrying action to words, which not everybody does, time and time again. When I told my cousins, oh, I'm going to go on Sunday with the governor again to Puerto Rico, their eyes lit up. It's a beacon of hope, a ray of light, of sunshine. Somebody's doing something. The same thing that's happening to Puerto Ricans over here. In light of the inaction, especially given the inaction that we see coming out of D.C. or that we don't see coming out of D.C. Look, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening out of Washington, D.C. is either the most inexplicable, most unimaginable ineptitude. I don't know if that's me. Or
That's the federal government now, see?
Just, we have to ring the alarm, right?
Quicker than me saying that.
It is, I don't know why this keeps happening to me. But in all seriousness, it's either the most unimaginable, most inexplicable ineptitude that we've seen, or it is the most egregious display of intentional governmental malpractice. And it is sad. And so we're so happy and thankful because Governor Cuomo and everyone who has been working on his team have been heaven sent. And then lastly, let me just say in terms of psychological dimensions, I want to thank Unicef. I want to thank all of the building trades, Santos and Lou, and all the Carpenters Union, and all of you guys who have been over here. I want to thank Heart 9/11 with your apprenticeship program, because we are, as Puerto Ricans, we don't want handouts. We are humble and proud people. You know, it's one thing to just give us fish. It's one thing to just give us a fishing rod. It's one thing to teach us how to fish. But the fact that you're over here not only teaching how to fish, but also taking people fishing. You can teach me how to fish, but if you don't take me fishing, there's still no fish for me. That goes a long way psychologically. So as we rebuild the brick and mortar, as we come together in the best way that we can as human beings, as we have to face the obstacles that we have a federal government that just doesn't have the same hearts, that are hypocrites today when they go to houses of worship and they pray and they say that they're brothers and sisters keeper. As we do all of that, I want to thank you, Governor, for being a friend to the Puerto Rican people, but also for sticking true to your commitment and to your words. Y a la gente puertorriqueña, me siento sumamente orgulloso de amar a este hombre, nuestro amigo. Gracias. And that was a good thing.
Thank you. And as usual, the borough president hit it right on its head. In New York, we like to say it's not what you say, it's what you do. And that stands true for government also. Government talks a lot, makes a lot of promises, but it's what you actually get done. The last speaker from our delegation, then I'm going to turn it back to Secretary Hill, is a representative of the legislature. Every governor has a legislature. I am blessed with a very active, opinionated legislature that is always an interactive experience that is energizing. I did not have all these wrinkles before I became governor. This is a function of the legislature. I'm only 21 years old, you know, so you can see how hard it is. But Assemblyman Marcos Crespo is a pillar in the legislature. He is one of the most respected members of the state legislature. He's also, as you heard, from Puerto Rico. He was here on day one. He's been working every day since then, and that will continue. And the people of Puerto Rico could not have a better advocate in the state legislature than Marcos Crespo. And with that, I turn it over to Marcos Crespo.
Thank you, Governor. And I will try to be brief, but if you indulge me and Robert can translate, I'm going to say a few words just in Spanish. Yo represento un comité de legisladores hispanos en el estado de Nueva York. Su mayoría son puertorriqueños, algunos nacidos aquí como yo, otros nacieron en Nueva York, en otros lugares, pero tienen ese compromiso, no solamente porque representan una comunidad puertorriqueña latina, sino porque de la misma forma que se ha hablado, entendemos la necesidad de nuestra comunidad. Hemos visto los peores momentos en la ciudad de Nueva York afectar nuestras comunidades y no vemos otra manera que responder en todo lo que podamos cuando nuestros hermanos, hermanas, nuestros familiares están en necesidad. Yo estuve con el gobernador Cuomo 2 días después de la tormenta, estuvimos aquí. Ese fue el primer avión que llegó con ayuda. Recuerdo como si fuera ayer el sentimiento y el compromiso que el gobernador expresó en ese momento de hacer todo lo posible como un Estado para ayudar en todo lo que sea necesario. Y quiero que entiendan algo, se mencionó antes, pero es importante. No es nada nuevo para nosotros venir a Puerto Rico a ver qué podemos hacer. Antes del huracán María, ya estábamos viniendo por 30 años a la conferencia de Somos de aquí. Fue en una de esas conferencias que el gobernador dice, ¿qué más podemos hacer? Y se abrió una oficina, la oficina de Nueva York aquí en Puerto Rico, trabajando con comerciantes y organizaciones puertorriqueñas para que entren al mercado de Nueva York y viceversa. Una ayuda financiera económica. Se vino también cuando empezó lo de la crisis económica a ver qué podemos hacer como diáspora para ayudar, usar nuestra fuerza política en representación y en voz y voto de Puerto Rico en el gobierno federal. Vinimos también con el asunto de la paridad del Medicaid y Medicare para pedir que a Puerto Rico se le trate como se debe, como ciudadanos americanos, no como segunda clase. Y así han habido un sinnúmero de iniciativas. Esto no es nada nuevo para nosotros, pero reconocemos que en momentos como estos se necesita liderato ejecutivo, se necesita una visión y se necesita un liderato que pueda hacernos todos llegar a un cuarto. Tenemos diferencias de opiniones. El gobernador y yo no siempre estamos de acuerdo, pero en algo que nunca le voy a poder quitar es que para el asunto, lo que ha sucedido aquí en Puerto Rico, lo que se trata de líderes en la diáspora, nadie ha respondido de la manera que el gobernador Cuomo ha respondido. Nadie ha logrado organizar recursos y ayuda de la manera que el gobernador lo ha hecho. Y las organizaciones que están aquí representadas, tanto Unicef como los trabajadores, las uniones laborales, yo me crié en un hogar de pintores. DC9 is here as well. Esa unión de la que me ayudó a mi familia a salir adelante. Y hoy regresamos haciendo todo lo posible. El gobernador dijo que vamos a estar paso a paso. No es ni la primera ni va a ser la última vez. Nueva York continuará trabajando y peleando por ustedes en todo lo que podamos. Y lo que estamos anunciando hoy es una segunda fase que va a llegar a las familias. No solamente mandar contenedores de ayuda, sino traer estos expertos que puedan ayudar a esos familiares que tienen daños en sus casas, expertos que puedan ayudar con esas reparaciones, porque lo que queremos es que antes que venga la próxima temporada de huracanes, que haya más personas preparadas para lidiar con esa situación. Y estoy como puertorriqueño, como neoyorquino, como un ciudadano, y porque amo y respeto a nuestra nación, le doy gracias a este gobernador que está dando ejemplo, que Dios quiera que el presidente y su gente en la administración federal, que hasta ahora lo que han demostrado es un racismo abierto, que reconozcan que a Puerto Rico le deben algo mejor. Pero mientras que ellos fallan, nosotros haremos todo lo que esté en nuestras manos, porque ese es el compromiso de que Nueva York sigue pie a pie con Puerto Rico.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well said, as usual, Assembly Member. We are going to see with the mayor, we're going to take a tour of Tour Baja, and then there will be a team that will be on the ground for several days that will do a strategic assessment of the need. How many personnel, what kind of supplies. That will take several days because we want to make sure, again, we are doing what you need, and we have technical people that are going to do just that over the next several days. And the mayor is gracious enough to give us a tour of his town. I want to thank everyone for coming. And my last point is, I just spoke to a reporter from New York before I came in, and New York reporters are known as slightly cynical, let's say. And the reporter said to me, well, I don't understand why a governor of New York should be helping in Puerto Rico. I consider the answer self-evident. And it is self-evident. As complicated as life is, there's always a simple truth. And the simple truth here is the Puerto Rico-New York connection is familial, is economic, it is social, it is cultural, and New York is in a position to help, and an injustice has been done to the people of Puerto Rico by the federal government, and we are going to do everything in our power to help the people of Puerto Rico. It's that simple. It's as simple as the concept of nosotros somos más que amigos. Somos hermanos y hermanos, somos uno, somos uno, somos uno. And that's the truth, and that's the answer. With that, Secretary Hill.
Thank you once again, Governor Cuomo. And thank you, all of you, for being here. It's sort of like funny, like I just was watching Avidan Rodriguez's name and then suddenly kicks me like, actually, you were a professor of mine like back in 1996. And one of the the subjects actually that we talked in his class was migration. And then when you see all of like these table and this round table, and you see like all the last names, it's migration. It's Puerto Ricans, that's for social and economically circumstances have to migrate to New York specifically. And today, first generation, second generation Puerto Rico are like leaders of that city. And they join you in your efforts of administrating the city of New York the way it is and the good way. And not only that, it's like how much you give, and you give from what you have, not from like what is, usted da, I'm going to say it in Spanish, usted da de lo que tiene, no de lo que sobra. So it's like you're giving from what you got, not like things that you don't need anymore. And that's actually the meaning of giving from the things that you have and not what is left. And we have been left behind in that sense from not giving like money that is not that, it's money that they have. It's money that should be allocated to U.S. citizens, money that should be allocated to the people of Puerto Rico. And by that, it's really sad sometimes listening to leaders talk about equality, dignity, love of our country, honor of a country, and loyalty to it without putting his actions into work. And all of you guys have done that. Remember 3 months ago talking to Lindsay, remember like giving like how are we going to structure this program? This program is going to come. Bottom line is like, Lindsay, guys, do whatever you need to do. I'll be here. I'll welcome you here. And we will work and we will take care of you here. Thank you for making a fruition of that like in just 3 months. And obviously running like a huge state and a great state. And to the people of Puerto Rico, what the governor of New York is doing is showing us a little bit of hope, showing that leaders from the United States not necessarily think the way that Congress might think or the federal government might think. And they're giving an example, as my friend here to my left said, like you're setting the example of how things should be addressed. So appreciate that, all of you, my fellow Puerto Ricans. I appreciate that. I hate the word New Yorican, honestly. Hate it. I hate it. I think it's pejorative. I mean, like, I think it's like, what, are you Puerto Rican from where? We're from Puerto Rico, you know? Our nationality, it doesn't have to do anything with our status. I mean, like, our heart, like, the way that we feel, like, the way that we express ourselves. We have Puerto Ricans that they were not born here. As the best example of this, like Tony Croato. He was from Argentina, but you know what? He was raised here and he felt Puerto Rican. So for me, Puerto Rican is everybody that feels Puerto Rican. So, Governor, thank you for being a Puerto Rican.
Thank you.